Welcome to Laurens County Conversations. This is brought to you by the Laurens County Buzz, and we are looking forward to bringing you some interesting conversations in the future with some movers and shakers in Laurens County. Today, I think you'll enjoy our interview with Laurens Mayor Nathan Senn. You'll learn about his passion and vision for Laurens, some of the exciting things that are happening now with some housing developments, and we'll also discuss some challenges that he faces as mayor and also that the city as a whole faces. Stay tuned, it's going to be interesting. And welcome to Laurens County Conversations. Today we are glad to have with us Mayor Senn of Laurens. Thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
So in our conversation today, we want to learn a little bit more about you, why you wanted to be mayor, and just some things about the role that you're in, the challenges, and what do you see as being exciting for the city of Laurens. So tell us, what do you enjoy most about being mayor? Why did you want to be mayor?
Two very different answers to those questions. The reason why I wanted to be mayor or decided that I would run for mayor is because I just sort of looked around and saw some of the things that we were doing that we could do better and some of the things that we weren't doing that we should. And I have nothing against or negative at all to say about my predecessor, but we just come at the job from different perspectives. And I felt like I might be able to have something to offer. So in terms of what I like most about the job, I'd say that I love anything that involves kids. Being able to encourage kids in Laurens to be good citizens, to encourage their education, and sort of help encourage them to be good leaders of the next generation is really important to me. I enjoy seeing progress. I feel like you sort of look around and see what we've been able to accomplish in the past 2 years, and it's really exciting to see that in sort of tangible ways now. It's not just excitement, it's you literally see new businesses and bricks and mortar kind of things. And the last thing, and one of the best things I think about being mayor of the city of Laurens is that it's a nonpartisan position. And so from the outset, I haven't alienated half the town because of the R or the D beside my name. That leads to an ability to actually get stuff done because we don't have all these preconceived notions about each other.
So you're saying that you're a mayor for all the people,
Absolutely.
working for the best for
Absolutely.
Laurens.
It's a really liberating thing because I'll tell you, I have absolutely zero political ambition. There will never be any other office I ever run for.
You heard it here on the Buzz.
Absolutely, mark my words. But because I'm not chasing after that next office, and because I'm not having to sort of literally toe the party line, I can just focus on doing what's best for Laurens.
That's great. Okay, so my next question, I want to talk a little bit about challenges. What are some of your biggest challenges in the past 2 years? Now, clearly, we've all been experiencing a challenge with the COVID-19 situation, something that we never imagined and wouldn't want to live through again. But in addition or outside of that, what would you say have been some of your biggest challenges as mayor of Laurens?
If I had to broadly categorize the two biggest challenges, it would be disunity and negativity. And those two things sort of go hand in hand. It's a little bit frustrating to me sometimes when we invite new folks to town and they are so excited about the promise and the opportunities that Laurens has. But yet sometimes our own folks don't reflect that. And I think a lot of times that can be caused by misinformation, gossip, where a lack of information leads to somebody supposing something, and that gets told to somebody else. And then there's all these fears and misconceptions, just things that really aren't real, but they ultimately have to be dealt with. And I guess for me, it's a little bit frustrating because there's enough real stuff to deal with without having to chase ghosts.
Do you feel like some of that is maybe a little bit of resistance to change?
Perhaps, maybe fear of what change will bring. I think some of it has, well, I've seen some of it reveal itself within segments of the community that you might think are monolithic but are not. And so I think before we present ourselves to the world and say, hey, come to Laurens, we've got some great stuff going on, I would like as a community for us to really focus on treating each other the way we want to be treated, not spreading gossip, just sort of looking out for each other and just doing the basic things that make us good citizens and good human beings.
So being the citizens and people that we want to live with and that we would like to see come and be here in the future.
Absolutely. There's a level of trust that I think you have to build up. And at a time where I don't really want to lay blame, because there is so much information out there, good, bad, accurate, and inaccurate. It's hard to blame anybody for not knowing who and what to trust. But I'd say, beyond the national politics and the headlines and things that divide us, on a local level, if you got a question about something, call City Hall and ask.
Do you get a lot of calls?
Boy, howdy do I. And I apologize to anybody who has called me and I have not yet returned their call.
I didn't mean to out you there,
It's
he'll
not
get back to
intentional.
So you do try to answer as many calls as you can directly or redirect to somebody who can answer their question and facilitate the issue that's at hand.
And honestly, I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. I feel it's a compliment because I think there's this feeling that we're getting stuff done in Laurens.
Mm-hmm.
That new mayor is working hard in Laurens. And so I sort of take it as a compliment that people feel like they can call me, because if they call me, that means we can get it taken care of.
And I think you should take it as a compliment.
I appreciate it.
Okay, and speaking of challenges, let's move in the direction of the city as a whole. What do you think are the biggest challenges facing Laurens? And then what are you as the mayor and together with city council, what are you all doing to address these challenges?
Well, there are challenges that are just associated with growth. Making sure that we're planning and preparing well for growth so that we don't sort of get consumed by a cancerous, uncontrolled growth. So, they're good things that can present significant challenges. There's also just the difficulties that come with doing new things, breaking bad habits, trying to become more efficient.
Bringing change.
I'll give you a good example. When I first became mayor, I spoke with the city administrator and I said, I'm assuming that we're doing some sort of annual evaluation of our employees and department heads, and so that we have some metrics and level of accountability to make sure we're doing the job the best way we can. And it sort of looked at me and said, well, we have an issue that comes up, we try to address it. And so now, for the first time, at least in a while, I don't know what previous administrations did, there's a systematic review. And just this morning, I was making plans to meet with our department heads to do some strategic planning in advance of meeting with council to do strategic planning, so we're all on the same page and excited about our jobs and sort of see it in the big picture of how we're going to improve the town.
And that's great, because that evaluation process, whether it is leaders of departments or council, it's a reflective period too. It's an opportunity to learn and grow from prior experience and take that on into the future to benefit the city.
And I might add, encourage what we're doing well. I could not be more proud of the folks we have on our team. There's some really dedicated public servants out there. I'll say this, I know it can be a popular thing to sort of put down government, and there's sometimes government deserves to be put down. But especially here at the local level, we have folks that aren't doing it for the money, that really have given their lives to sacrifice to make sure that we have the best city we can have. And I'll be a little defensive of them. I'll be their cheerleader about that.
That's great. Let's change gears just a little bit and talk about development in Laurens. Towards the end of last year, you had an exciting announcement about the new housing development with SK Builders. Talk to us a little bit about that, what you think the overall impact to the city will be. Will it draw increased interest in retail, obviously homes? What is the timeline anticipated to be? The average home cost? What is it that excites you about this project for Laurens?
Anytime you want to grow a city, anytime you want to attract better quality of life sort of things like restaurants and retail and entertainment, all of those things, you have to have a certain mix of things. And one of the key ingredients that is attractive to those sorts of things is increased population, positive population growth, and a customer base where the folks that are bringing those businesses know that they are going to be able to support them. Unfortunately, the city of Laurens has just sort of lagged behind in attracting new residential growth. There are a lot of houses at the lower end, frankly, a lot of substandard housing. And there's some, gigantic Victorian homes that would need a lot of renovation. But if you're a fresh out of college grad, there's not really a lot of spot for you. Or if you're a young family or professional, our supply is pretty limited. So there's a piece of land that's adjacent to the ridge that had been in city hands since, I think, 1943.
Wow.
1948. And literally nothing had been done since that time. And so I met with council in executive session, and I said, I've racked my brain. I've talked to members of our city departments, and we can't think of any particularly good use for this land, at least that would trump trying to meet our need for new housing. Can y'all think of anything? And if not, do I have your permission to go start recruiting building developers? And so they gave me their blessing, and we invited a whole bunch of people to town and sort of developed relationships to, well, I shouldn't say that. We had meetings to sort of get a feel for the people and looked at their products, and I went on tours of different neighborhoods. And we ultimately wound up pursuing a relationship with SK Builders. So they were recently named Best Builder in the Upstate. Their housing quality is outstanding. I figured if we're going to get rid of land that had been in city hands for 73 years, we'd want to do it, with something we could be proud of.
Absolutely.
And so right now they're in their due diligence period. They have civil engineers that are working on taking the topography and designing a plan for the neighborhood that is consistent with some of the values we laid out. Not just packing houses into every square inch, but allowing for some green space and trails and those sorts of things. So the plan is for dirt to start moving very shortly, and hopefully houses being built perhaps as soon as April.
And how many houses will be in this development?
Right now, the plan is for around 130. They will be priced in a price range between $200,000 and $300,000. I will say I've gotten some questions about that. Well, how much market is there for that kind of thing? The first thing I would say to that is a $200,000 house in 2021 is not what a $200,000 house was in 1980.
Definitely.
Just prices have gone up. Wood in particular has gone way up. So these are not mansions. These are normal, nice single-family homes. Beyond that, just because we've been working on this doesn't mean it's the only thing we've been working on. And so I can say at this point that there are multiple housing developments that are in the works beyond this one with SK, and they would cater to a variety of price points.
Excellent.
We want to make sure we have a spot for everybody.
Excellent. We've talked about a number of different things, so now I really want to put something out there that's kind of different. If you had a crystal ball or a magic wand and could look ahead into the future of Laurens, as the mayor now, what does that future look like for Laurens? What would you like it to be?
I can tell you what I think it's going to be.
Okay.
I think it's going to look younger. We really value our senior residents, don't get me wrong, but we also want to have a place that is welcoming to young families, both new families to the area and people who grow up here that we want to stay here.
Sure, or go to college and come back.
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, I was talking about how I enjoy stuff with kids. Every time I am in front of a group of kids that's 18 and younger, I consistently tell them, we're proud of you, we care about your education, we want to make sure you go make the most of your education and come back to Laurens and make it better. Anyway, so I think it'll look younger. Our housing initiative will help with that. I think it will be cleaner and more scenic. I think you're already starting to see the changes that are coming about because of an increased focus on code enforcement. There are buildings that are being renovated for the first time in decades. There are dilapidated buildings that are being torn down. There's a pride that comes from a community that cares about itself enough to enforce those sorts of ordinances. And then beyond that, we're working hard on some beautification projects that make it an attractive city that's welcoming to new businesses and folks that want to live here.
So I hear in your explanation pride, and I see that as well. So I think ultimately you're proud of the work you do and the team that you have putting this together and launching Laurens into the future.
I am proud of Laurens. One of the best parts of my job, probably should have said this earlier, one of the best parts of my job is being able to invite people to town and sort of introduce them or reintroduce them to Laurens and see their eyes get really big because they just sort of buy into the vision. And it's easy for me to do because I love this place so much. It's easy for me to sort of to want to share that. But I think one of the things that is particularly moving to me is when I get either notes or an email where somebody says, I was thinking about moving away, but the changes here have caused me to want to stay. Or our family just moved here in December and it feels like home. And we can really tell that the city is working hard to improve. For all the small number of folks that may be difficult, I think the number of folks that are really excited and encouraged by the direction of where we're taking things is really encouraging.
That's great. Well said. And I think your passion and commitment is demonstrated by the work that you're doing and the success so far. We wish you much more success in growing and advancing all things for Laurens. And thank you again, Mayor Senn, for being with us in Laurens County Conversations with the Buzz.
Thanks for having me.